Hello, my fellow. Wait, what is happening here? No, 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 no.
Why didn't I just walk the whole episode thing into place? And why should I be talking in human tongue? It's an insult. But you gotta pay a price for everything, I suppose. And this is not underground anymore. The spell takes time to recharge.
Departing from my little self-imposed issues there, I greet you all back, my fellow cultists. I think I may have forgotten to use my recording voice, but since we're all here, let's get to work. While I'm going to take a ride on Shrek's best friend, lava is to be gathered to build the gateway, because we are going home to the underworld. I'll talk about some of the objectives there. As stated previously, the spell I use takes an immense toll on the user, and also a fairly long time to replenish, so that it could be cast once more. I don't know when, but I must wait, because there are other deeds that need to be done. I won't wait until the construction is complete, therefore here is a summary on how the base is doing so far. From the docks, we would enter the keep through the main entrance. After killing this unwelcome nuisance, you could see that on both sides the silos for the crops are positioned. Also, the staircase leading to the mines are within this main hallway. Then, heading towards the infested section, there is the soon-to-be cattle housing units for breeding cows and sheep, and angering that vegan teacher. At the end of this hallway is the storage area for gathering wood and saplings to cause even more discomfort to her. After this corridor, we could head upstairs to the first tier of the farms. There are also some empty areas on these walls that would be filled later. Now, I'll be making a mistake here by placing these trapdoors because initially I thought this could create a barrier for the hardworking peasants, but after testing I found this method was highly unreliable. There are some modifications that didn't warp into place, so I'll be making them manually for each tower. And now, the courtyard, which will also enable access to higher towers, could be witnessed, and these bad boys are to be fully automated. The field itself could also function as a lumberyard. We also need to gather shroomlight in the gajillions, along with glowstone. Apart from that, we shall also explore into the depths to gather material to establish the mines. And on the side note, I'll make sure to trap any undead corpusera, wink wink zombie villagers new name, wink wink, so that we can have some manual laborers and servants. Back to the topic at hand, the portal would be under construction, and we would have some extra time to talk about the behind the scenes. So I'm working on making a Discord server, and some immersion stuff are going to be made there. Before this YouTube channel and working on making videos here, I didn't really work with Discord that much, and it is safe to say complications are a rather common theme there. But I'm making some progress, deving the stuff as I go and learning along the way. Yeah, that should be a very interesting topic on its own. Another thing that happened when I spoke to some of my buddies, I got a green light and they will be joining us. And you know what this means, right? The Tales of the Fallen are going onto the sketchboard, baby. But their debut and introduction are still a little hush-hush, since not everyone is cool with spoilers from my knowledge. And why ruin a good surprise? I also wanted to take this chance and elaborate on something sketchy I've said in the last episode. I promise that if that video gets 1,000 views, I'll start working simultaneously on a village and the base, right? Well, one of my friends said, Bez, that's just absolute madness. You're sitting on just a handful of subs, and saying something like that is just wishful thinking. You gotta be more realistic. He isn't wrong. Yet he doesn't see it from my point of view either. The thing is, I acknowledge that 1,000 subs or views at this point is an outrageous claim, and the way I said it could be interpreted as just something imaginative or way ahead of my time. However, when I mentioned that subject, aside from the expectation and engagement with the viewers, it served another major reason too. It was more or less like a promise to myself, reminding me that I have to work hard to make something like that possible. I can't sit around doing nothing and just demanding stuff. I've got to work for it and earn it, so that one day when I revisit that episode, I can say, damn, I've come a long way. In the end, this matter was to be explained more because I had it coming. I suppose it's a trip into the chaotic mind of Bez, the Bez realms. Hey yo, roll credits!
We've landed into the underworld. The air is very warm and welcoming. The residents are absolutely civil with high hospitality towards others, in the sense that the air shall burn your lungs, and everyone wants to greet you to the nearest hospital. Very welcoming indeed. This realm houses many sights to see, from the forests of confusion to the desolated marshes, even the lakes of fire too. Everyone here wants to kill you.
Damn it, Matthew Shazman, I didn't know watching that Dork Souls series of yours before a recording night would affect my narration so much. And while we are here, let's dissect some of the things I said so far. They weren't just my imitation skills for a very dramatic welcome home message. The names we change aren't just limited to the mobs, if you can remember. Dimensions and biomes are also subject to this renaming. The list will read as below. Underworld Wasteland. Do I need to explain? Swamps of Corruption as the Soul Sand Valley, Forests of Confusion as for both the Crimson and Warped Forests, and Desolated Marshes for the Basalt Deltas. See, I'm already getting confused too. As for the critters here, they are not significant now. We should just call them entirely as the Tormented. Now, I should also elaborate on this subject since it seems very randomly named, right? Yes, it definitely sounds like it. But each biome here will serve a very significant role in our stories. For example, the Forests of Confusion. The main property of them is that any being that goes into them will have their consciousness affected by the tortures of the underworld. So the effect is that the person there will have a distorted sense of pathfinding and will sometimes just forget where he is. The realm of the underworld is not a place of punishment. No, it is the very beginning of something much bigger. Some of the plans I'll be having for this place could also be interesting. The first major plan is that I'll have to terraform the lands here dramatically, as in, no one could remember what it looked like in the first place. Dramatically, because some of the materials here are essential for my projects. Some are used as building blocks while others are used as fillers to fill out any empty gaps and spaces so that I wouldn't have to rely on using dirt and cobble too much. The second plan is to build massive structures here that would make it a lot more fun to hang out and enables me to have a faster method of traveling. About that forgetfulness I introduced, you could see it for yourself. Despite being a mage that could bring in an entire fortress from the future, it seems like, while scavenging for shroomlights, I just end up being somewhere else randomly. This was the best that I could remember though, and still we aren't finished with this forest. Just fantastic. By the time you guys will be watching this, it could be a couple of days later than my usual routine. The reason for that is the fact that I'm trying to multitask here, alright? I have a fairly complicated schedule. I should probably tidy it up so I don't have to come up with excuses every video or something. However, I suppose very soon these plans would be sorted out and I would return to my original timing. And speaking of timing, a new installment for the tomfooleries should be expected in the near future. Ethan's team has caught a very good one too. Now, I don't know if I got lucky for the first subject, the Mrs. Taylor one, or yeah, I'm pretty sure I got very lucky for that one to give me 3 episodes worth of material. And we could discuss scam baiting a little bit, I suppose. Now, I must say this before I begin ranting about it. I will never advise anyone to engage themselves with scam baiting. Scammers are a very nasty bunch. Take Ethan for example. He was allegedly an elderly man who was retired and lived a very normal life. He didn't pose as the kind of person who would notice the malicious intents of these guys. However, they were ruthless. The problem is, even with Ethan sharing his identity with these people, they seem to not care for him in the slightest. All they want is to steal. There's no money to be made here. I'm taking a huge risk, and best I can do is a tardigrade. Nevertheless, no one can be too cautious. The risk is still there, no matter how many safety measures you would place and how many steps you think ahead. There is always a fat chance someone, somewhere, has the upper hand on you. That's just the internet. That's why I don't really get too cocky with these people, unlike how the evidence suggests. Moral of the story is, if it is too good to be true, it probably is fake. And I can't believe I just quoted Pawn Stars right now twice. There is no such thing as a dying widow who wants your help to establish a humanitarian project, or the prince that was impeached recently and now wants to send some random stranger a country's GDP worth of cash. The only money that would be transferred in those cases are the victim's funds, and probably some other things, such as your bank account information, your personal identification details, and so on and so forth. These type of info should never be exchanged with a random stranger on the internet. That's just very dangerous. Anyways, make sure you stand by for that event because it's about to happen really soon. Returning to the fortress, this is what's been happening so far. The floors were brandished with shroom lights and glass to prevent wandering souls to appear when I'm here. And the glowstone shroom light combo was used for the ceiling and the walls I mentioned before. Overall, I'm kinda happy with how it looks like, and it has a comfy, cozy feeling. The design and general architecture is somewhat reminiscent of the Spanish forts that were built in the Caribbean and Bahamas, and I could say we achieved that hiddenness and seclusion factor I've said in the earlier episodes. The interior, however, gives the chilling vibes of an ancient civilization technology, you know, the ones that Nat Geo always has a hard on about. For some reason, those documentaries always seem to be lacking one specific detail. They claim that humans evolved by means of evolution and mutation, yet they also claim that somehow there were laser guns and sci-fi level technologies in the past, and somehow humans forgot where to evolve from that, and we are stuck with having the things we have today. I'm not denying this stuff, yet I can't come to terms with accepting their explanations either. It just seems very absurd that humans had flying saucers and then one day they decided, yep, we gonna stick with the broken ice cream machines because 2 cents and a McWhip to do. Back to the interior design, one of the things that I will realize soon is that for the cattle units I'll be using demon bricks. However, this would be very time consuming, and I would be leaving it be in favor of finding an underworld fortress to gather the bricks more efficiently. Speaking of which, I have an idea to completely overhaul an underworld fortress while it would retain some of the vanilla design's features. But something I'm not sure about is how this would affect the spawns there, because some of the tormented creatures are needed to make progress. But this was just a quick hint towards what I have in store. And now, by the power of my own insecurities, a question that could rise within your mind would be, each and every one of these projects would take days, if not weeks. When are they happening? Well, that question would entirely depend on how fast I could do the editing and voice acting. A good advice from a good friend of mine was that always capture the video beforehand so that there wouldn't be a shortage of game footage. Another influential factor worth mentioning is that maybe by planning on creating a server could drastically improve the pace of these videos, right? That's a very good argument too, because I'm just one lonely wizard doing the job that usually takes 10 to 12 people to do, but I lack one specific requirement for it, being I need a group to be willingly participate with me without having the risk to blow up my computer by lag. Or even if that wasn't the issue, there are a lot of griefers and trolls such as yours truly that would just demolish a survival run for 2 pebbles and a giggle. Now that I come to think of it, maybe this second option is worth for further investigations. Minecraft community is really vast and varied, but I can't convince myself that someone would cooperate with these Bez-Plays aside from the people that would join me soon for the Tales of the Fallen. And at the moment, I can't expect other Minecraft YouTubers because clearly they have their own sweet thing going on. In the end, can't complain about something that I will reason with. Collabs, team-ups, and partnerships require some connections and foundations to become something possible. Soon we will be heading down below to start the mine in Minecraft. Pun intended. And there will be some special features I want which will be built in their due time. The path I'll be making is that the two staircases would go down and then merge in the middle, then a bigger staircase would go further down into bedrock level. And that would be a checkpoint for when I'm busy mining. From there, I'll begin eating away into all directions to gather what I'll need and expand the mine shaft. I'm probably gonna drop some time into decorating it too. And as a side quest, I'll need to find a slime chunk for some slimy goodness. That seemed extremely inappropriate now that I think about it. I swear it sounded way better in my head. There's also a confession I need to make. I have an urge to defy the stereotypical Minecraft builder meme regarding the myth that we can't do redstone. There will also be some redstone contraptions involved in the mines, some simple designs for a collection system so I don't have to walk a whole lot and could do more mining instead. Just need to gather the ores and components for it, so there's that. I should also thank Mojang for the deep slate blocks because I absolutely love them. And most of the time I'll be gathering to build with them. For some reason, they are just so fascinating to me and I can't seem to get enough of them. Much appreciated, Mojang, for this blessing of yours. However, like everything else, it has to come with a price. It obviously takes way too longer to mine them. Throughout this tunneling and burrowing session, I'll have to gather some redstone dust and diamonds. Emphasis on the diamonds, because we'll need to bring in the enchanting capabilities soon. Other than that, just a couple of them should be enough, because we'll have the servants for acquiring better tools after we cure them, of course. Enchanting table is the priority, and after that we can focus on the collection system. Since we are nearing the end of this episode, let's have a recap. We now have a comfy and secure establishment to safely store our loots and gatherings, which will also enable me to create a little bit of an economy here. With the gateway being activated, we achieve to descend into the underworld, which will also enable us to have a wider array of color palettes and more activities to attend to. Then we went back and forth between the world of the living and the realm of the tormented to make progress on the base, because no spell is perfect and there will always be shortcomings. So the lightings were done and we started to work on the critter sites, the murals were finished, and some work towards the riches of this land were put. And while we're at it, let's sing together that Bez is a dwarf and she's digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Diggy diggy hole? Yep. We absolutely went George Clooney minus the George and the Sea within the very crumbling walls of these echoing tunnels. And what's this? Ooh, shiny diamonds, yay! As the TikTok trends call for it, you should like and subscribe and ring the notify bell to lock the joyous moments in. Otherwise, August the Duck might come out of nowhere and uppercut your grandmother. This has been a very fun journey for me and I hope it could be shared with you too. Thank you for watching, my fellow cultists, and stay mystical.